So this is going to be my first video using my Rediscover Your Stash kit, and I'm showing you the pieces from the kit that I want to use. So in our little stash event, one of the other participants challenged me to use the white foam that ended up getting tossed in my kit. I don't even know how. And but she challenged me to use it as an embellishment, not just as a dimension in the back of a page or back of a lamp. So I had to put my thinking cap on, and I decided I wanted to try to make shakers for my layout. But I don't have a manual die cutting machine, so I had to come up with a unique kind of way to make shakers. And actually, Desiree B, who is Desiree's Scrapbook Nook on YouTube, also mentioned to me that I should make the shakers. So I had to come up with that's what I wanted to do. So I had to come up with something that would work. And I think that what I came up with works okay. So what I did was I'm taking my Creative Memories circle cutters, and I'm just going to cut these rings. Now, the circle cutters are not going to go through the foam completely, but they're going to give me, they cut about halfway down the foam. So it gave me a line to follow, and then I could go in with my scissors and my X-Acto knife, and I could go ahead and cut them out. So these rings, and you can see the one off to the left there, they're not perfect. They're not the best. But I'm going to mess with them, and when you look at the layout, you can't tell that they're really, because I cut them myself. They're hand cut. So, of course, they're not going to be absolutely perfect. So I went ahead and I'm just going to cut these out and cut away the foam pieces that I don't want. So I decided that with all the wobbly edges on the circles being what they were, and that I wasn't going to be able to do perfect circles, I didn't have a way to cut the foam, I was going to color the circles in. So this is a distress marker. It's Mermaid Lagoon, and it's going to look really bright here when I first do it, but so much of it is going to rub off onto my hands that, you know what, it mellows out and it's okay. If you are part of our Rediscover Your Stash event, then you know that I posted a photo a little bit earlier today of my hands completely covered with this distress ink. So I'm just taking my little X-Acto knife, and I'm going to cut all the rings, can't talk. I'm going to cut all the rings out, and then I'm going to color them all up with the Mermaid Lagoon Distress ink. So I set these on my desk to dry, and they didn't dry out the greatest. So what I did was I used a tissue, just a plain Kleenex tissue, and what is that called? A brayer. It's called a brayer. I used a brayer to get some of the excess ink off because my hands are still stained from them. So I'm just showing you my fingers there, and that really helped. Now, it doesn't matter a terrible amount that these maybe didn't dry perfectly or that it took a long time for them to dry, because I'm going to completely cover that ink up with plastic packaging. So it's totally fine, and it can never dry ever, and it'll never be a problem. So kind of the cool thing is that because I used my Creative Memories circle cutters to create those rings, I know exactly how big they are. And now I can go ahead and cut backs for them, and I can cut the plastic packaging for them to make them into shakers, and I've got the right size, and they're going to work just fine. So, and I will say this technique of coloring that foam and using the foam to make the shakers, I love how it turned out, but it did require a lot of trimming and cutting, and the foam needs to have those colors because you're never going to be able to do it perfectly because it's not going to cut all the way through, and you're going to have to use your scissors to trim them out. So it's never going to work perfectly. But I think that it worked well, and I love how this layout came out. I think when you see this layout at the end, you will love it. And while it looks like a little bit of a hot mess while I'm making it, just stick with it because it looked okay it looks really, really good at the end. And also, when I glue down the plastic, well, you'll see when I glue it down. So now I'm just attaching, and I just used my Scotch quick dry adhesive, and I'm just going to attach the circles to the back of this modeled paper, which is from that Webster's Pages paper pad. So I grabbed some packaging from my stash, and okay, funny story, I'm cutting this packaging thinking maybe I should be really conserving my packaging because I'm not buying anything for the next 40 days. Well, I'm not buying a lot in the next 40 days. So am I going to have enough packaging? Like, what if I want to do the packaging technique on something? Haha, I know, right? I agree. So I'm using these circle cutters, again, because I use the circle cutters. I can cut the packaging, and I can cut the rings, and I can cut that paper, and everything's going to fit right on top of each other just perfectly. So when I go ahead, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut these circles with the packaging, and then I'm going to add some quick dry adhesive to the top of the rings, and it's going to react with the Distress ink, and it's going to create these like swirly kind of cool patterns, which matches the paper in the back of the shaker pockets, and actually looks really, really cool. But first, before it dries and before I get them all finished, I'm going to have like a glue explosion. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put the packaging on top of this shaker pocket. And right here, I'm just trimming everything up. So I want it to look, I want the circles to look even as I can make them with my scissors. And to keep them nice and straight. And I'm going to fill this big shaker pocket with a photo. So if you follow me on Facebook, if you are friends with me on Facebook, which a lot of you are now since we're doing this challenge and this event, if you go down through my Facebook feed, you'll see a post where I talked about my favorite band of all time, which is the Bee Gees. So, and I talked about why they were my favorite brand and everything. And I put in there the whole reason I was, journaling, kind of like writing this, getting this all out of my head on Facebook was because I wanted to do a scrapbook page about it. And so that's what I'm going to do. These sequins are from my stash. If you were wondering why, I mean, if you watch my channel a lot, you know that shimmers and sequins are like my go-to things, right? If you're wondering why I didn't put any of them into my kit, it was because I didn't want to limit myself to my sequin stash or my Spiegel Mom scrap stash or my shimmer stash. So I will probably, as I do layouts, absolutely add those items in, but I didn't want to pick what I wanted to use beforehand. So this sequin mix I'm using is one of the brand new ones from the Spiegel Mom Scraps shop, and it is the Neon Summer collection. So I put a photo, one of the photos of one of the Bee Gees album covers into one of those shaker pockets, and then I walked away, created the shaker pockets, put them underneath my trimmer, walked away, and let them dry completely. And then they looked good. While I was gluing them, I was really nervous. I really didn't think this was going to work at all. But when I had them, when I stopped looking at them, put them under my trimmer, just let them dry, they looked really nice when they were done. So what I'm going to do is this is going to be, my background paper is going to be this green one, that gray Pinkfish Studio. But first, my die cuts. So if you watched my stash video, you know that I put a whole stack of already cut files from my silhouette. I can do a little research if you're really interested in knowing where all of these stars came from. I know a bunch of them came from a free cut file that you can get at the Spiegel Mom Scraps shop. It's the baby one. It's the one, that's the one it is. It's the baby one. And I just broke that cut file apart and cut the stars out multiple times. So I think that's where most of the stars came from. I'm almost positive. What I'm going to do here is, this is some acrotones in the blue My Top color, and I'm going to go ahead and paint all of these stars this beautiful blue color that is going to match lovely. So now I have the stars off to the side that are painted blue, and now I'm going to spray the rest of these cut file stars with some colors to match the colors I've chosen that I really want to use in my layout. So I'm going to try this by memory because I'm not in my scrapbook room. That is a hugely noisy room in my house to try to do a voiceover in. So I'm going to try to tell you all the colors of these shimmers. So the gold one is Glorious Days. The pink one is Pink Stilettos. And then I have See You in the Morning, which is the teal one that I'm going to go ahead and spray my last little star with. And, okay, kind of funny story. The only stars that make it to the layout are the bright blue ones and the pink ones. So I still have the gold ones, which are already colored gold and gorgeous, the Glorious Days. And then I have these aqua ones. I don't think they made it to the layout either. So I still have those that I put back into my kit and I can use for later use. So I cleaned up my mat, I cleaned everything up, and now I'm going to make what I truly believe is the most beautiful background I've ever created. I love how this turned out. So I started with some Acrotones, that blue Acrotones paint. I mixed a little water into it so I could splatter it, and I'm just splattering. I am going to create a layout, and it's going to have a very go-to design for me, which is where you kind of make a column down the middle of your page with your photos and your journaling and your title and everything. And I love that kind of a page design. I don't always create a mixed media background for it first. Quite often I use paper layers or strips of paper or different things, but I really was loving the colors of my stars, and I was really loving the colors of these colors all together. And so I'm just going to splatter and splatter and splatter all these colors, and I absolutely love how this background turned out. If it looks like it's too much for you, keep in mind that a lot of this is going to be covered up. You know, sometimes when you watch a Missy Winnan video and she's like, if this seems like a lot for you, just wait, because once you put the picture on and everything, you only see little bits of it peeking out, and that's what this layout is going to be. So most of this will get covered, but I just think this background was so pretty. I really want to do it again, do a background like this with all different colors of shimmers. So halfway through doing this voiceover, I lost like the whole entire second part of my video, so I'm having to re-record it. So if I repeat myself from something I said at the beginning of the video, I apologize, and that's why. Okay, so we're gonna lose a little bit of my video. I'm so sorry. I think that there's like a corrupted file or something in the middle, because there's this little short piece of video and my iMovie refuses to let me record over it. So I don't know what the deal is with that, but I found that the only way I could get it to start recording again was to like totally skip that part of the video. So all that you missed was I matted this photo of me. It's a selfie. And I matted it in that swirly paper. And then I went ahead and I put the 3 shaker pockets down where I wanted. And then I also glued some sequins to the top of the shaker pockets, just in different spots. I printed my journaling directly off of that Facebook post. There was a Facebook post that I posted a little bit ago. And in the Facebook post, I talked about, like I said, my favorite band and why they were my favorite band. And I am going to take that journaling and use it as the journaling for my layout. And I also have 6 little squares that I printed, and each of them are album covers from different albums from the Bee Gees. And I put one of them in the shaker pocket, and now I'm going to put the other 5. This one at the bottom is going to go down towards the bottom of the page. So now the rest of this layout is going to be me doing a lot of multitasking because of the way I wanted my titling to be and because of the way I wanted my journaling strips to be. I kind of had to do everything at the same time. So where I would normally maybe do my journaling and then go ahead and do my title and then, you know, go ahead and embellish, I'm kind of having to start at different spots on the page so that I get my spacing right and so that everything kind of fits the way I want it to fit in my head. So this is going to be the beginning of my title, but my title is going to flow down through the layout. My journaling is going to flow down through the layout. And then as I'm putting the title and the journaling on, I'm also incorporating 4 of those little album covers, album cover photos, and I'm also incorporating, leaving some empty spots and corners for the stars. So this, it kind of gets a little, it's going to look a little repetitive for a while, and it's going to be a little bit like all over the place. So I'm going to take out some of the footage just to keep it so it doesn't run to be, a 30-minute process video. But just know, like you see here, like that's the first title, that's the first word of my title. But now I'm going to add some journaling strips. So now you can see here I have the second part of my title, and now I'm adding some more of the journaling strips, and I'm going to leave a gap. So I'm going to add a couple strips of journaling, and then I'm going to leave a gap for an embellishment. And then I've also added my second little photo at the top there. I kind of did this thing where I almost wanted the photos to be, the album covers to be in chronological order of when they were released. And how bad is it that I knew which came first? So, and I kind of managed to do that a little bit. You're going to see it's a little off at the one spot, but I'm pretty sure I got them in pretty much very, very close to chronological order. So this is what I'm going to continue to do. I'm going to create these little spaces that are going to look like white space. That's where I'm going to add some more embellishment at the end, and I'm going to just keep going down with my photos and my journaling and then the title. So now here you can see where I ended up putting the photos. So they are in pretty close to chronological order, and I also have most of my title done. There's just a little bit more that I'm going to place down at the bottom. And you can see how those journaling strips kind of go in and around those shaker pockets. I'm also going ahead and inking everything up with Hickory Smoke Distress ink. And I love the mats around the album covers. I use that Felicity Jane black and white paper, and I think it just gives it that little bit of contrast and pop so that your eye can really, I didn't want the photos to get lost with the shaker pockets. And I think adding that little pop of black and white around them kind of draws your eye down a little bit. So as you can see, this is kind of a little bit unusual. It's not my usual process, but I really wanted the journaling to be intermixed with the title, and this was the best way I could come up to do it. So here is my last photo that I'm going to mat, and I have all of my journaling done and my title is up. And so now you get a really good idea of what I was going for, the kind of layout design I'm going for. Now I'm going to grab these embellishments and I'm going to fill in some of the gaps. I actually don't end up embellishing a huge amount on this layout for obvious reasons, because we made those big shaker pockets, and we also went ahead and added, there's a lot of journaling on this page. There's different things. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of put these stars all around the page at all the different spots where I've kind of left little places for them to be. And I'm going to place some of them on top. I'm going to place a star on each of the shaker pockets and kind of tuck them in. And yeah, the aqua ones aren't going to make it. I also decide against the wood veneers at the end, because I felt like this page was good. It was pretty good embellished. I had the lines I wanted there with that single column down the middle. And I love the shaker pockets, or the shaker circles. I think that they turned out really, really cute. I especially like the one at the bottom with the photo in it. I think it turns out really, really nice. And I didn't glue that photo down, so it shakes in that little circle just like the sequins do. And I think it turned out lovely. So I'm just going to add the heart. Now I am the hearts, the stars. And now, obviously, I should go back to school and relearn my shapes here. So now I'm going to go through my stickers. So there were a couple stickers on these two sticker packs that I really thought added something to the page. What they said was very appropriate to what I was scrapbooking about. So I really, really wanted to make sure that I used them. And also that allowed some of that aqua-y color that's in the background of the shaker pockets and in the background splatters to be a little more present in my layout. Right now we've got a lot of the blue, a lot of the pink. There's those pops of orange and gold, but there's really only that aqua color in the splatters in the background. And it might be kind of hard to see in the video, but in real life you can see the aqua splatters in the background. So I want to make sure that there was a little more aqua throughout the page, and that's what these stickers are going to do for me. So the last one here I'm going to use is this one, and it says la la la, and I just had to use it because we're talking about music, right? So I'm going to pop it in right there, I think. I actually think I tuck it in a little bit more after I ink it up and put it down. And that's going to be the last little addition to this page. So I hope you have really enjoyed this process video. I hope you like what I did with my white foam, Kristen. And thank you so much, Desiree, for the idea to kind of go ahead and try to make some shaker pockets out of them, or shaker circles out of them, because I think it turned out really, really nice. If you haven't joined us at our event yet, you are cordially invited to do so. Just send me or Christina Sorge a Facebook friend request, and we will add you right in there. And then they shake. Have a wonderful rest of your evening, and I'll see you again soon. Bye!